Well, every episode I solicit suggestions or questions for topics that viewers would like us to do an episode on. So I'm going to make good on that today with another one of these somewhat more casual episodes, answering a question from a viewer that I think is definitely worth answering about where the loyalties of the lawyer lies, and if there's a hierarchy, who comes first, client, the king, the court. We'll have a look at that. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. So let's jump right into the question. Again, continuing with a little more casual episodes, trying out my green screen, and hopefully we'll be able to get back into some more regular episodes. But as I described last week, things are crazy and I don't really see an end in sight. So I don't know, maybe this will be the norm for the next little while, but let's take a look at the question. So the question is from a person with the screen name at CM-ZL2JW. And it says, I would like you to discuss the differences between legal and law if you understand. When did the legal society fall into the hands of a cult? When you cross the bar, who are you required to serve first? The bar association, the judge? When do you put the client first? Ever? Now, I don't actually understand the question of the difference between law and legal. Not sure what that's about, but it's the second part of that question that I think is worth discussing, notwithstanding the rather aggressive manner in which it was asked that seems to imply that lawyers never put their client first. It is something that comes up, though, and I think it's important for viewers to know where do lawyers stand, where are our loyalties, and why are they the way they are. Now, a lot of people, especially sovereign citizen types or people who are sympathetic to those views, they think that lawyers should have no loyalty to anyone other than the client. They should just do whatever the client says. But as with most things in life, it's more nuanced than that. And so we'll look at the Law Society of Ontario's rules that lawyers like myself who practice in Ontario are bound by. And if you want to be a lawyer, those are the rules that you need to follow. That's just the way it is. And I personally don't think it's inappropriate for lawyers to have rules to govern how they behave and how they act and to govern their professionalism. The cult question maybe brings up some other things with all the EDI stuff that's being pushed and some other things, but we're not going to get into that. Just specifically, according to the Law Society rules, where are our loyalties? So the Rules of Professional Conduct for the Law Society of Ontario, Section 5.1, the Lawyer's Advocate, is the section that really lays this out in my view. So Section 5.1-1 says that when acting as an advocate, a lawyer shall represent the client resolutely and honorably within the limits of the law while treating the tribunal with candor, fairness, courtesy, and respect. So in my view, the fact that we have to represent the client resolutely and honorably within the limits of the law, that does say that our first loyalty is to the client, although it has to be done with honor and according to the law. We'll get into that a bit more in a minute, but the commentary, I think, adds some important context. So the role in adversarial proceedings, the lawyer has a duty to the client to raise fearlessly every issue, advance every argument, and ask every question, however distasteful, that the lawyer thinks will help the client's case, and to endeavor to obtain for the client the benefit of every remedy and defense authorized by law. The lawyer must discharge this duty by fair and honorable means, without illegality, and in a manner that is consistent with the lawyer's duty to treat the tribunal with candor, fairness, courtesy, and respect, and in a way that promotes the party's right to a fair hearing in which justice can be done. Maintaining dignity, decorum, and courtesy in the courtroom is not an empty formality because, unless order is maintained, rights cannot be protected. So I think that sums it up right there. We're supposed to be fearless and advance everything that we think will benefit the client. So that shows that clearly the client's interests are number one. They hold our first loyalty. We have to do everything we can that's going to benefit them within the law. Well, this is a legal system. Of course, we have to act within the law because it would be to the client's disadvantage if their lawyer was dishonest, did illegal things, argued contrary to the law, because then, of course, their client will absolutely lose the case if the lawyer is arguing contrary to the law. Now, again, I bring up the sovereign citizen thing because sovereign citizens have a very attractive but based on fantasy view of the law. They have an idea of what they would like the law to be, and then they may sometimes want lawyers to argue that. Or people who don't know the law may be frustrated with what the law is and want the lawyer to argue what the law should be. That's not the lawyer's role. That's the role of Parliament, politicians, to argue over what the law should be, pass new laws. Lawyers have to operate within the laws as they are, and therefore it is to the client's benefit for us to operate within the confines of those laws, to only argue consistently with the law to get a decision from a judge who also operates within the confines of the law that benefits the client. So everything in their client is number one, and by having a loyalty to justice, to the law, to the courts, is in fact a loyalty to the client. Because even courtesy is beneficial to the client, in my view. Going into the court, being rude, not following the rules, being a jerk to everyone, that might make the client feel good on a visceral level, but it will not benefit them. There's a lot of lawyers who have made good careers, made a lot of money by behaving like that in court. Well, I don't know about a lot. Maybe there's some. At least clients seem to suggest that there's some, because they'll say, oh, well, this lawyer's like that. I actually haven't seen any of these people myself, but I've heard tales. But these people don't get results. Being reasonable, being respectful, being courteous, and making arguments that are consistent with the law is the way that a lawyer gets the best possible results for their client. And again, if you don't like what the law is, that's an issue for the politicians rather than necessarily for your lawyer. Now, there can be arguments over whether a law is constitutional or not, but that's still an argument within the confines of the law. So, in answer to the question, lawyers' first loyalty is always to their client. The other loyalties or requirement are secondary, but in fact support that loyalty to the client. So the interests of the client always come first. Again, within the context of the system, keep in mind what a lawyer is. They're working within the legal system. And when one is called to the bar, that's the terminology in Canada, you're called to the bar. When you're called to the bar, as we discussed in a previous issue, the one on the oath to the king, with that individual who didn't want to make the oath to the king, you do have to make an oath to uphold the laws and the rule of law of Canada. Again, if you're not interested in upholding the rule of law, you shouldn't be a lawyer, and a lawyer isn't who you need or want to help you. So I hope that this is of some use to viewers. It helps you understand the role of lawyers in our system. This video, though, isn't legal advice. If you need legal advice, contact a lawyer, another lawyer, or myself. My contact information is below. If there's a topic you'd like to see me cover, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll try to get to it when I can, like I got to this question in this episode. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, following us on social media, especially YouTube. As I've been saying for a while now, we're getting close to the end of the year. We need to get to 10,000 subscribers if you want to see me regrow my handlebar mustache. That's 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.